All right. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Living on Purpose podcast. Today we have a very special guest who every time I see him has us laughing our asses off on the screens. You see him as a model on Insecure and now his show called Send Help as Fritz. Welcome, John Elie. Again, thank you so much for having or just being here with us today. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. Like when you reached out, I was like, sure, why not? Like this is about mental health. This is about having the real conversation that we know typically have amongst ourselves. So it's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Dope. So, like I mentioned to you earlier, I literally watched the entire season, all the episodes back to back. It was just really good. It was amazing. I laughed, I cried. The show brought up a lot of various emotions for me. What was the inspiration behind Send Help, and how did you come up with the idea for the show?
The inspiration behind Send Help was it's a little personal because I have experienced the loss of my older brother at the age of 21. My brother was murdered. So that left a hole in me that will never be filled. And knowing that I've experienced that and then having conversations with other men or people who have experienced what I've experienced or just lost somebody that was kind of the thing that's been propping you up your whole life. And now you have nothing else to fall back on and you have but yourself, inspired me to create Send Help. Because not only was my brother the thing that held us all together, but he was also the person that did it all for not just for me, but for my mom, for my sister, for his kid, for the family, and him not being there has left a hole in everybody else and wanting to explore what that means and how people are trying to live after death when you're not necessarily the one that died.
Wow. That is, important to showcase that on the screens, and showcasing like an honest and true representation of what that actually looked like. In the last episode, when you were auditioning in front of Issa and Mike, I noticed, you had on your Sprint shirt, and then I read where you were actually like a Sprint manager and you transitioned into the entertainment industry. And that's one of the many scenes where it stuck to me like, okay, so this is based off of your own experiences. This is based off of you. So with that being said, Send Help being based off of your own experiences as a first generation Haitian American actor, how do you incorporate personal experiences into the show's narrative?
Well, it starts with the writer's room. I had an amazing writing staff, an amazing partner in the creation of Send Help, who not only did they pour themselves into the show and how the show came about and how the show looks and feels and the stories we're telling, but they also pulled certain things for me and it was like, you should definitely tell this part. You should definitely put this in the story. You should definitely put that in. Where I was like, oh, nah, I'm kind of scared to put that out there because it would feel like I was too exposed and I didn't want that. So they were able to like pull certain things from me to put into the show while also having a couple of stories that of their own experiences that sprinkled into the show to make it a full three-dimensional and make it so that for not only people who have experienced loss or who are going through what Fritz has gone through or what Fritz is dealing with, both in his mental, within his relationships and things of that nature, or within the family's relationships to themselves or what they're dealing with their everyday life. But it was able to pull from everybody that was in a room to make these characters so full and rich that anybody could connect to.
Right. So all different walks of life, but within one character. Yeah, I really like how you all tied a lot of different pieces and caught a lot of different aspects. And then based on the show, I read that how you stated the show is a love letter to your brother and you talked about it earlier, how he was just an inspiration to you and your journey and kind of holding the family together.
Mm-hmm.
How has grief overall influenced your work on the show?
It influenced the whole show. It got me to create a whole television series, 7 episodes,
Yeah.
on All Black right now that you can stream. And it's also given me a purpose outside of myself to move forward and tell a story that would honor him, but also let him know or let people know like the responsibilities that are dropped in your lap when you are then picked as the person to pick up the mantle, or you take it upon yourself to pick up that mantle. And it's a story about all of us and like how when one person who was holding it all together leaves, who's going to pick up the pieces? Is it you? Is it somebody else? And
Mm.
um, it has kind of energized me to move forward and pursue what I'm doing with everything and anything I have inside me to make these stories and tell these stories. Because other than that, like I'll be telling superficial stories that I feel people like versus being honest and truthful to myself.
Wow. I think that was something that I needed as well, because it's like when you're putting out this work and sometimes you don't want to be as open or let people in. So, thank you for putting out that honest look of grief, because sometimes, like in the show, you do shut down. Sometimes it is people pleasing. Sometimes it's just a bulk of emotions all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing it on the screens as it is in reality, I think it's necessary to have that honest and real, those real reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree. How do you feel your roles as an actor on Insecure or American Crime or any other film has helped you prepare, you know, as an actor and creator and producer for Send Help?
Well, they helped me get to the point where I'm at now. Like without American Crime, I wouldn't be able to do Insecure. Like I wouldn't have the confidence to take control over the characters that I'm playing and just and perform it in the way that I feel is the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the times when you are starting off in the industry, you're constantly trying to do what you think other people want versus doing what you know and just being you. And in working on American Crime, I was able to just be me in a way that I have not been able to in a lot of work that I've done before, unless I'm like creating it myself. Um, and that informed me on how I was going to get the job for Insecure and how I just went into the room and just did my take of the script, my version of what Amal can be, what he is to me. And then that being on Insecure allowed me to see what it's like to work with someone that not only runs is the lead of the series, but also is the shepherd of the series as well. Who the show was literally resting on her back to get it made and for people to connect with it and for people to really um interact with the show itself because she built her empire, she built her foundation on social media in the digital space that then translated to a network being able to take well champion a show that literally inspired a whole culture and generation and shows that are we're watching today, so
Yeah.
I'm able to like watch that from the inside and get get a level of understanding that I can then translate to me being the shepherd in the showrunner of my own series, Send Help. So
Yeah.
yeah, all that stuff translated and move forward. Every one step just built on the next one.
Yeah. And just being authentically you,
Yeah.
showing up as you. And so you mentioned like a lot of these roles, you have a lot of these roles. So when it comes to just balancing it all, how do you prioritize your mental health and your well-being while, balancing acting and filmmaking careers?
Yeah, I know, right? Careers for sure, because I'm literally doing several of them at the same time. The way I try to prioritize my mental health is by take some time by myself. I take walks. I leave my phone in the house and I'll take a walk. I will keep my phone on do not disturb, so therefore I'm not being interrupted when I am working on something or I am just trying to just be all in. I take myself on dates where I just go out to eat by myself and hang out.
Yeah.
I take solo trips whenever I can. So I'll just just go on Skip Lag, find a place, just take off, just to be able to take care of myself. And sometimes when I'm working and I'm not trying to deal with real life stuff and I'm trying to prepare for a role or anything like that, I will get myself a hotel room and just sign myself into work out of there instead of working out of my place. Because there I feel like I am disconnected from everybody so I can get the things done.
Yeah. Is that something that you've always done? Like, is that something that you've always done? Because it sounds like you are your own best friend first, but
Yeah.
has that always been that way or?
No, like it has not always been that way. I had to learn to love myself in order for me to be who I am. I had to love to learn. I had to learn love. I had to learn to love the quiet spaces.
Yeah.
I had to love to learn to be by myself. Because before my brother passed away, I am living with 5 people in a house, in a 3-bedroom house. Like I had people around me all the time. So you never really got to be by yourself. Like, and then I shadowed my brother growing up all the way till I was like 21. I just was around him. So what he did, I did. And what I saw my parents do, I did, but I never really got to be by myself. And I started to really understand that after he passed away, and then moving myself from the East Coast to the West Coast to pursue acting as a career, and then understanding that you have to be by yourself in order for you to grow in the way you want to grow. Because I'm a person who takes on other people's problems. So if I don't remove myself from them, I will never be able to do the work that needs to be done. Because you have to be selfish in this career, in this industry, in order for you to grow. Because if you're constantly taking in other people's nonsense and other people's problems, and you're trying to solve their problems, you're neglecting yourself in the process.
Yeah. And being selfish is being selfless. Cause like
Yeah,
how can I pour into everybody else if I'm at ground zero, right?
exactly.
So yeah, that's essential. And I definitely, from being on my own journey my as well, I agree, like, being your own best friend first and just kind of showing up for you, you know,
Yeah,
recovering people pleaser.
you gotta show up for you, man. If you don't show up for you, you will be there for everybody else and forget about you. And then you'll wonder, like, what am I so upset about? What am I so depressed about? And it's because you never chose yourself. You gotta choose yourself at some point in time. And once you choose yourself, you'll be able to help other people. Because you'll be whole. Because once you're whole, that's when you can help others. You can't help others when when your cup's half empty.
Right. Yeah. So, what do you hope viewers take away from watching Sin Help, and what impact do you hope that the show will have on the entertainment industry?
Um, well, I hope it opens up a conversation about mental health, which has been going on now. Uh, um, Sparks more of a conversation about mental health within the Black men community, or just in general within the community, within the Black and Brown community, because we don't necessarily talk about that enough, and we don't necessarily have enough outlets to speak on those things that are bothering us. One, we're too scared. We've been told all the time, don't talk to a therapist, don't ever speak to a therapist.
Mhm.
Um, what the hell what can they do for you? Um, Besides just listen to your stories, and that's it. But I've literally took my first step actually speaking to a therapist the other day, which was interesting. Um, because I've been told I should try it, but coming from an immigrant household and an immigrant background, it's like, why? Why are you telling these people this stuff that they've never necessarily experienced themselves or know what it feels like? So I had a cool experience recently when I tried to have I had that conversation. And it was first brought to me, this therapist was brought to me with my lady, I have a fiance, and she brought up couples therapy. So we
Okay.
talk to things together so we could be on the same page on a lot of stuff. And at first I was like, this therapy thing is a joke, because literally she's not saying anything I didn't already say to you. But it's hard for people to understand what you're saying if you're not speaking the same language. And the therapist will help you articulate that. So in doing that, I said, oh, maybe try speaking to her about what it is I'm feeling on the inside about something, and help me shift through that. And it helped a lot. It helped a little bit. So I like that. So back to what I was saying is, like, we don't have those outlets. So now it gives us more of a chance to kind of take that leap of faith and try that outlet. Because what I've always sweared by in love is journaling. Journaling is my thing. So whenever I'm feeling down or feeling like I have like a monkey on my back, I will journal what it is and shut the book on it, and that would clear me. So if I can think clearly, but then I would later go over what I wrote, to actually see the problem see how I was a part of the problem, how I caused the problem, or how this could have went differently. So if I can learn from my mistakes or learn from that experience.
Wow, that self-awareness is essential. And journaling on top of therapy, yeah, that's the team right there. that's the dream team right there.
Yeah.
So on a lighter note, so like I mentioned earlier, you've grown into a lot of careers. You said you have several. And you're just taking the time to bet on you. What is one lesson you've learned from betting on yourself that you would just like to pass on to someone else?
The understand that it's a lonely road. It's a lonely road when you're betting on yourself, and it's okay to mess up. And because every step forward, every step back, every failure doesn't mean you actually fail. You only fail when you stop. So you can take those bumps on the road and you can move forward with that new knowledge of what to do next. Because there's been countless of times where I have embarked on a journey and it didn't work out how I thought it would work out. But then I had to I felt like I had to regroup or start all over, but you're never really starting all over. You're starting that level again, just with new sets of knowledge and new understanding. So you can move forward and actually see the pitfalls and see where problems can arise, and you can fix it before it becomes a problem.
Okay, you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Thanks.
I love that. Sean, thank you so much for being on the show today and, dropping those gems first and foremost. And like I mentioned to you earlier, thank you for putting out dope work, especially for those of us who need it. We appreciate you. We hear you. Make sure you stream Send Help on All Black, y'all. Thank you again.
Yes, and also follow me on all my digital space. Elie, same name, different app. And if you're a filmmaker, creator, or someone that's inspired to be a creator, feel free to hop on Bassett House Pictures to check that out.
Y'all heard it here. Do that. Thank you.